Before you drop thousands on a premium rifle, know this. Most of them get babied in a safe their whole life and still fail early. Here are the 12 rifles serious owners trust long after the warranty runs out. And the one at number 1 has outlasted the soldiers who carried it. Number 12 is the Zastava ZPAP M70. This rifle comes out of Serbia, built on the same military tooling that made the AK platform famous around the world. But the ZPAP M70 takes that design further. It borrows features from the RPK light machine gun, a weapon built to survive sustained fire in the harshest conditions on Earth. The receiver is stamped from steel that is 1.5 millimeters thick. That is thicker than almost every other AK pattern rifle sold today. Inside, the trunnion is bulged, which means the metal block holding the barrel to the receiver is reinforced to handle more pressure and more stress over more rounds. This is not a rifle that was designed to look tough. It was designed to survive dirt, mud, rain, and neglect, then keep firing without complaint. Owners who run thousands of rounds through the ZPAP M70 report the same thing over and over. It keeps cycling, it keeps feeding. It does not care if you skipped a cleaning or two. That kind of tolerance for abuse is exactly why AK pattern rifles built a reputation across 70 years of conflicts on every continent. The ZPAP M70 takes that legacy and adds a level of fit and finish that older military surplus rifles never had. When the factory warranty runs out, this rifle does not slow down. It just keeps running the way it always has. Number 11 is the Tikka T3X. This rifle comes from Finland, built by a company that has spent over a century making rifle parts before ever selling a finished gun under its own name. Today, the T3X carries a promise that few manufacturers are willing to make. Every single T3X, no matter which model you choose, is guaranteed to shoot 1 minute of angle groups right out of the box. That means 3 shots landing inside a 1-inch circle at 100 yards. With factory ammunition, no tuning required. Hunters who have carried this rifle through freezing rain, deep snow, and thick mud all report the same experience. The bolt keeps cycling smooth no matter what gets thrown at it. The 70-degree bolt throw is shorter than almost every rival on the market, which means faster follow-up shots and less chance of your scope getting in the way during a fast cycle. Reviewers who have run the T3X for years and thousands of rounds describe the same pattern. Group after group, session after session, the numbers stay tight. There is no dead spot, no grittiness, nothing that feels unfinished. That consistency is the entire reason the Tikka name carries weight among hunters who could afford something far more expensive but choose the T3X instead. It earned its reputation the hard way, through years of trouble-free rifles going into the woods and coming back out again, season after season, without a single complaint. Number 10 is the Christensen Arms Ridgeline. Christensen Arms was the very first company to ever produce a carbon fiber wrapped barrel for a production rifle. Take a steel barrel and wrap it in aerospace-grade carbon fiber, and the result cuts significant weight while keeping the rigidity a hunter needs for accuracy at long range. The Ridgeline ships with a sub-minute of angle accuracy guarantee, and Christensen Arms builds every barrel in-house, hand-lapping each one and gauging the bore to tolerances within 10,000ths of an inch, a level of precision usually reserved for custom rifle builders. The company backs every rifle with a limited lifetime warranty for the original owner, covering defects in material and workmanship for as long as that owner keeps the gun. Most owners report exactly what the company promises. A rifle that shoots well under minute of angle groups straight out of the box and holds that accuracy hunt after hunt in brutal mountain terrain. A smaller number of owners have run into barrel issues tied to heat management in the carbon wrap, and Christensen Arms has worked through those cases with replacement barrels under warranty. That willingness to stand behind the product is part of why the Ridgeline still earns trust from hunters chasing elk and mule deer across high-altitude terrain where every ounce on your back matters. Number 9 is the Steyr SSG69. This rifle comes from Austria and it has been in continuous service since 1969, which makes it one of the longest-serving sniper rifles still trusted by military units anywhere in the world. When it was first introduced, most rifles on Earth could not consistently shoot inside 1 minute of angle. The SSG69 was doing half that, consistently in the field, with iron sights as backup in case the scope failed. The barrel is cold hammer forged, a process that pounds steel around a mandrel under extreme pressure, creating a bore that resists wear and holds its accuracy far longer than a barrel cut with a standard reamer. One owner who has run his SSG69 for over 15 years and more than 3,000 rounds of ammunition reports an average accuracy of just over half a minute of angle, a number that would be impressive from a brand new custom rifle today, let alone one built decades ago. The rifle has been adopted by more than 20 different nations, from special forces units in Europe to border patrol teams in the United States. It does have one documented weak point. Older units have occasionally reported broken firing pins after extended hard use, a known issue that Steyr addressed in later production runs. But even with that one flaw on the record, the SSG69 remains proof that a rifle built with the right materials and the right tolerances can outlast the career of the soldier who first carried it. Number 8 is the Weatherby Mark V. This rifle carries a nickname that has followed it since 1958, the strongest action on the market. The reason comes down to the bolt. Most bolt-action rifles lock up using 2 or 3 lugs, small pieces of metal that rotate into the receiver to hold the bolt in place under firing pressure. The Mark V uses 9 lugs arranged in 3 rows of 3, giving it far more surface area to spread out that pressure. This design lets the Mark V safely fire some of the most powerful Magnum cartridges ever built for hunting, rounds that generate extreme velocity and extreme pressure with every shot. Weatherby Proof tests these actions to 100,000 pounds per square inch on certain models, a pressure level most hunting rifles will never come close to seeing in a lifetime of use. The bolt itself is forged as one solid piece, which removes weak points found in rifles built from multiple welded or pinned parts. Despite decades of hunters pushing this action to its limits with Magnum cartridges in Africa, Alaska, and everywhere in between, there are no documented cases of catastrophic action failure during normal use with factory ammunition. That is an extraordinary record for a rifle built specifically to handle more pressure than almost anything else on the market. The Mark V earned the title of strongest action in the world, and 7 decades of use without a single reported failure is exactly how it kept that title. Number 7 is the Sako 85. This rifle comes from the same Finnish factory that builds the Tikka, but the Sako 85 sits a full step above it in both price and refinement. The defining feature is the bolt, which uses what is called controlled round feed. When you cycle the bolt, the cartridge is gripped by the extractor the moment it leaves the magazine, and it stays gripped all the way into the chamber. This matters most in real hunting situations, when you are cycling the bolt while moving, off balance, or under pressure. A push-feed rifle can let a cartridge tip or jam in that moment. A controlled feed rifle like the Sako 85 will not. The bolt itself has 3 locking lugs and is machined from a single piece of steel, with a 70-degree lift that makes cycling fast and smooth. Hunters who have taken the Sako 85 to Africa for dangerous game report flawless function, shot after shot, under real pressure with real stakes. There is one known issue worth mentioning honestly. A small number of owners in certain calibers, especially smaller cartridges like .223, have reported extraction problems tied to the ejector design, sometimes causing spent cases to strike a low-mounted scope. Sako has addressed this over time, and most owners across the largest calibers report 0 issues at all. Even with that one documented quirk, the Sako 85 remains one of the most trusted bolt actions a hunter can own. built by a company whose reputation for quality goes back generations. Number 6 is the BCM RECCE-16. Bravo Company Manufacturing built its name on one simple promise, that their rifles are hard-use tools, not safe queens meant to sit in a display case. The RECCE-16 backs that promise up with a track record spanning more than 14 years across military units, law enforcement teams, and civilian shooters who put serious round counts through their guns. The barrel is cold hammer forged and chrome lined, finished in manganese phosphate along its entire length to resist corrosion and wear. The bolt is machined from Carpenter 158 steel, shot peened for strength, then tested using both high-pressure testing and magnetic particle inspection, the same quality control standards used on military contracts. During independent testing, one reviewer put over 1,500 rounds through a RECCE-16 without a single failure to extract, feed, or load, and every magazine loaded clean, even as the barrel started to heat up. BCM does not cut corners anywhere in the build. Every component meets or exceeds military specification, which means replacement parts stay compatible and available, a critical detail for a rifle you plan to own for decades. The RECCE-16 was never built to win a beauty contest. It was built to run when everything else fails, and its track record across more than a decade of hard use proves it does exactly that. Number 5 is the Daniel Defense DDM4 V7. Daniel Defense started as a small shop in Savannah, Georgia, building rails and handguards. 2 decades and several special operations contracts later, the DDM4 V7 became the rifle that most best AR lists put at the top. The barrel is cold hammer forged from chrome moly vanadium steel, the exact process specified for United States military M4 rifles, producing a bore that is harder and more wear-resistant than barrels cut using cheaper methods. One independent test ran 2,000 rounds through a DDM4 V7 across mixed brass and steel-cased ammunition without a single malfunction, while holding 1 minute of angle accuracy with quality match-grade ammunition. The bolt carrier group is full auto-rated and tested using magnetic particle inspection, built to handle round counts far beyond what any civilian shooter will ever put through it. Daniel Defense backs the barrel, bolt carrier group, and bolt with a full lifetime warranty, the kind of factory support that matters most when a rifle needs to work for defensive use, not just at the range. The rifle is not perfect. Several reviewers note the factory trigger feels gritty compared to aftermarket options at this price point. But that is a minor complaint against a rifle that special operations veterans and law enforcement officers choose to train with on their own personal time, using their own money. When professionals who could choose any rifle in the world keep choosing the same one, that tells you everything about how it performs after the honeymoon phase ends. Number 4 is the HK416. This rifle changed the reputation of the entire AR platform when Heckler and Koch replaced the direct impingement gas system with a short-stroke gas piston borrowed from the HK-G36 rifle family. That single change solved one of the oldest problems in AR pattern rifles, fouling. A direct impingement rifle dumps hot carbon gas straight into the action with every shot, which means the bolt carrier group gets dirty fast and needs regular cleaning to keep running reliably. The piston system in the HK416 keeps that gas and carbon out of the action almost entirely, which means the rifle keeps cycling clean even after thousands of rounds without maintenance. Factory testing has demonstrated this rifle firing 10,000 rounds without a single malfunction, a number that puts it in a different category entirely from most rifles on this list. The HK46 gained global attention after it was confirmed that Navy SEAL Team 6 carried this exact rifle during the operation that killed Osama bin Laden in 2011. Since then, French, Norwegian, and German forces have all adopted the HK416 as standard issue, replacing older service rifles specifically because of its reliability advantage in extreme conditions, from desert heat to Arctic cold. The piston system does add weight and cost compared to a standard AR, and that trade-off is the only real criticism the rifle receives. But for the operators and militaries who chose it after testing every alternative available, the reliability advantage made that extra weight an easy trade to make. Number 3 is the FN FAL. Few rifles in history have earned a nickname as respected as this one. Soldiers and historians alike called it the right arm of the free world. And it earned that title through service in over 90 countries across nearly every major conflict of the Cold War era. FN Herstal designed the FAL with an adjustable gas system, a feature that let soldiers tune how much gas cycled the action based on the ammunition they had and the environment they were fighting in. That single feature meant the FAL kept running in deserts, jungles, and freezing mountain conditions where lesser rifles choked on fouling or weak ammunition. During the Vietnam War, one detail stood out clearly. The FAL rarely jammed or misfired, in stark contrast to the early M16 rifles issued to American forces, which suffered widespread reliability problems during the same period. The FAL saw combat on nearly every continent on Earth, and remarkably, it was used by opposing forces on both sides during the Falklands War, with British and Argentine soldiers both trusting the same rifle design to keep them alive. FN Herstal produced roughly 2 million units before ending production in 1988, but the design proved so sound that manufacturers still build FAL pattern rifles today using modern materials and manufacturing techniques. A rifle that soldiers on opposite sides of a war both trusted with their lives says more about reliability than any marketing claim ever could. Number 2 is the Mauser 98. Every bolt-action rifle built after 1898 owes something to this design. Peter Paul Mauser created an action so complete that Winchester, Springfield, and nearly every major rifle maker since has borrowed pieces of it. From the dual locking lug system to the massive claw extractor that grips a cartridge from the moment it leaves the magazine until the spent case gets thrown clear. The Mauser 98 features 3 points of safety redundancy built directly into the design. 2 fixed locking lugs at the front of the bolt handle the primary pressure, while a third safety lug at the base of the bolt handle serves as a backup in case the primary lugs ever failed, something that almost never happens with a Mauser 98 in proper condition. Over 100 million of these rifles were built between 1898 and 1945, used by 30 countries across 2 world wars. What makes this rifle remarkable is not just its combat history. It is how many original Mauser 98 rifles from over a century ago are still functioning perfectly today. Collectors and hunters who own rifles built more than 100 years ago report the same experience: smooth cycling, reliable extraction, and accuracy that still holds up against modern rifles built with modern materials. One owner of a rifle converted decades ago put it simply: it shot well back then, it shoots well today, and it will keep doing exactly that. That is not marketing. That is a century of proof. Number 1 is the M1 Garand. General George Patton called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. And that praise came from a man who was famously difficult to impress. John Garand spent over a decade developing this rifle before the United States Army adopted it in 1936, and it became the first semi-automatic rifle ever issued as standard equipment by a major military power. While enemy soldiers were still working a bolt by hand between every shot, American troops carrying the Garand could fire 8 rounds in rapid succession without breaking their aim to reload. That advantage proved decisive across North Africa, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of the Pacific, and later the frozen hills of Korea. The rifle earned its reputation through combat, not advertising. Soldiers who carried it through mud, rain, snow, and tropical humidity reported the same thing again and again: a rifle that simply kept working no matter what conditions it faced. Roughly 5.5 million units were produced during its total military production run. And today, Decades after their last combat use, thousands of original M1 Garand rifles are still fired regularly by collectors and competitive shooters through America's civilian marksmanship program. Many of these rifles saw combat more than 80 years ago and remain fully functional today with nothing more than routine care and maintenance. No factory warranty on Earth was ever built to last that long, and the Garand never needed one. It earned trust the same way every rifle on this list did, by working exactly when it was needed every single time, for as long as anyone can remember. 12 rifles, 12 countries, 12 completely different designs, but every single one shares the exact same trait. They were built by people who cared more about function than flash, and it shows every time the trigger gets pulled. A warranty protects you against a manufacturing defect. It says nothing about what happens after year 10, 20, or 80. These rifles answer that question on their own, through decades of soldiers, hunters, and collectors who put them through conditions no lab test could ever fully replicate. If you own one of these rifles, drop a comment and let us know how many rounds you have put through it. And if you are still deciding which one earns a spot in your safe, the history books have already made the case for you.